What's
Welcome.
up, y'all? Welcome to NO to NYC podcast.
It's been a while.
It's definitely been a while. We warming back up again.
Yes.
So, what we're gonna talk about today? First, I want to say shout out to Luke. Luke has a short film horror
Yes.
movie going on. So
I'm
y'all look out for my
tired.
boy Film coming soon.
Thank you. Thank you for the love and the support.
You're so welcome. So anyway, today's topic is going to be about masculinity in women. So Luke, what do you think about women being too masculine?
Ah, so my past rather experience in women being really masculine. I grew up around a lot of masculine women or women who had that masculine energy, and I got my butt beat by a lot of women on like real serious levels. Stemming from with my mother and my grandmother, my babysitter, and just growing up, and I've been around women who've had that energy, and I've always received the negative aspect of it, and it really messed me up. It messed me up in the sense of when a woman, I'm uncomfortable around women first and foremost, and not in no like uncomfortable like sexual way, but I'm uncomfortable around women because women have this energy that can make a man feel uncomfortable, and it's not a physical thing, it's a mental psychological thing. And I've been beat down by women, when I was younger, physically and mentally, and that masculinity I guess is always there because it's something that they've experienced, but now it bothers me when I see it because it kind of makes me feel afraid, but in my head something snaps, or rather a switch in me turns, and it's just like I'll meet that same aggression or masculinity with my masculinity, and I feel like my detector is somewhat broke because I'm not afraid to get physical with a female because I feel like you're gonna try to hurt me, and I feel like I had to defend myself. So for a lot of years, it was just like I learned to defend myself physically against something I was mentally. You know what I'm saying? And like even if you're saying masculinity, it doesn't have to be physical. You know what I'm saying? Because women could be come at you in a masculine way, and they could be like rah rah rah, but it's just with their words. They could say some real messed up things in a masculine way, and I'm thinking to myself like I smack the shit out of you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I'll put you in your place physically, but then I'm wrong for thinking like that because of how society. It's not how society is, but I've been taught that you never put your hand on a woman or things like that. But in that same breath, it's like women have, came at me in a masculine way, and I see women like coming off real crazy, and I'm like, damn, like how do you deal with that? I'm not one of those guys who be like on that finesse and all that kind of suave, but it's just like when I see it, it's just like, yo, you talk crazy to me, I'm a, you know what I mean? So
Right, right. So, when you think of masculine energy, do you think of it as women always being argumentative or always wanting to wear the pants in a relationship, or what do you see masculinity in a woman as? Is it the overly independent woman?
it's a defense mechanism. It's a defense mechanism in everyone, and I believe when I see masculinity in an African American woman, it's more of her defending herself from things that she's experienced in her upbringing, the things that she's probably dealing with in her relationship, or rather experiencing in her relationship, or maybe she's just tired. You know what I mean? Because like when we spoke about before, a lot of this stuff comes from our past. This stuff is like
Yeah.
passed on to us. So when I see that in a woman, it's just like, okay, she's experienced something. I'm able to do that now.
Right.
I'm able to look and see that if a woman is coming off with that masculine energy, it's like, okay, who was she brought up around? Where's that energy coming from? And why does she feel the need to exert that energy on others? You know what I mean? What is it inside of her that's making her feel like she needs to let this energy go out to society? You know what I mean?
Right. And I think a lot of people see the masculine energy in black women because of how a lot of us were raised. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, even me myself, coming up in the independent woman household.
Right.
And I think just us as women, we get away from the soft
Right. Right.
side of
Right.
ourselves.
Right.
Even me, I've also done that before. Just seeing my mom come up. Not taking away from my dad, but just
Mm-hmm.
coming up with my mom doing everything.
Okay.
Literally, taking care of us. You know, mentally, financially, just everything. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that was so much masculine energy. I
Right.
think it was just, I would consider that like overly independent.
Okay. But see, you see how you said overly independent? And as a man, we looking at it like, yo, this chick is wild masculine. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? So it's all in translation of like, who is the person identifying it and putting the title on it. You know what I mean?
But you also have to remember too, every man, well, I can't speak for men,
Right.
but I'm just for the men that I know.
Right.
People look at masculinity in women different.
Right. Exactly.
You know, you may have one man may think an argumentative woman
Right.
is
Right.
masculine
Right.
to him.
Right.
I guess what it all boils down to, you know, men want to see the softer side of the woman.
Of course.
You understand what I'm saying? Now
Yes.
let me ask you this question. Would you prefer an overly submissive woman or an assertive?
That's tough because when we go, it's tough for me to answer that because I don't know. I could say I want an overly assertive woman or like that whole masculine energy, but it's okay if she's directing that energy towards somebody else. So let's say I'm in a situation and she got my back and she being aggressive in the circumstance with me to hold me down, right? Mm-hmm. I'm fine with that. But now we're in a house and she's upset or we're like arguing and now she's coming at me with this masculine energy. And it's like, yo, I peeped her do it before, but I felt okay with it because it was to protect me. Now she's coming at me with it. You know what I'm saying? So it's a defense mechanism that I now understand that she's exerting. But at the same time, it's kind of one of those things where I like it, but I don't like it. It's a situation kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm okay with it because that's who she may be. But it's just like if I had to deal with it on a percentage wise for most of the time, I really would just be on some now I'm good. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Understood. Now I've also, you know, heard some men talk about women being submissive
Mm-hmm.
and, you know, women just being overly aggressive.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Some people have submissiveness in assertiveness.
Right. Hold on. Before you go, as I'm hearing you, what I'm hearing is I run this concurrent when we hear men say or we hear women say they don't like bad boys. You know what I'm saying? No, they like bad boys, but they don't like the good dudes. It's exactly parallel with men, and we look at it through the same lens of women being feminine and masculine, as how women look at it as, oh, he's too nice or he's a bad boy. Women want the bad boy, but they don't want the bad boy. They want the good guy because of the qualities and the things that he brings to the table, but they don't want that goodness. They kind of want that edge to it. It's the same thing with a man and the masculinity in a woman. You know what I mean? That's how I'm looking at it, and that's how I'm hearing it. I promise you, I do believe it runs parallel.
That makes sense. I mean, for me, I don't want an overly easy man.
Okay.
And I don't want an overly aggressive man.
Gotcha.
I want somebody that can meet me in the middle.
Okay.
You understand what I'm saying? But I also want somebody that's going to be a leader.
Okay.
You know, and I think that's where a lot of the masculinity in women come from, because it's a lot of men that don't know how to lead nowadays.
Now, when you say there's a lot of men that don't know how to lead, what is your specific detail and what does leading look like to you?
What does it look like to me? As far as like leading your household, you know, being the provider, the protector, making sure your household is straight. At the end of the day, I look at it like this. When I say a leader, he's the head of my household.
Okay.
I'm the body. The head fall, the body fall.
I agree.
That's the most simplest way that I could put it.
I agree.
You know?
I agree. I see exactly where you're coming from, but I also look at it as it's a lot easier said than done.
It definitely is.
Because it's like, I'll be like, yo, I want a submissive chick, and you know what I'm saying? This is what I want. But when I get it, it's like, yo, I really don't want this. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like, you already like...
It's kind of crazy, but it's like, do we really
want what we say what we want?
And let's say this, do we really understand what masculine women, you know, what masculinity in women is?
I don't know. I just.
We don't, because
no, you can't say we don't, because as a man, I see it. Like, I see it all the time. Like, you know, when you came in here earlier today, you was wrong. Yeah. I'm looking at like, oh, okay, this is the different side. You know what I'm saying?
But you know what though? I mean, me personally, I don't think that I was being masculine.
Don't be all nice because the cameras. So
I don't think that I was being masculine. I was just pissed off at the moment.
And I felt that energy.
That was Renee came out.
Got you.
Right now, I'm Nate.
Let me say this to you. For us men growing up who's been abused, because unfortunately in our community, there have been a lot of older women who have abused a lot of young men. And I was one of those men who have experienced that. As a kid, I was molested by a family member, female family member. And when I say that, as a man who's experienced that, when I see a woman's masculinity, I instantly get afraid, because it's just like, I'm like, okay, I'm a big dude, you know what I'm saying? But psychologically, I kind of, you know what I'm saying, feel uncomfortable because I was taken advantage of by women when I was a kid. You know what I'm saying? And then, like I was saying, you know, being, you know, made fun of by women. I got beat up by women when I was in, you know, junior high school. And just those things. And as I got older, it was just like, I always told myself like, yo, I'm going to protect myself. You know what I'm saying? And it was just like, a woman would hurt me more than any dude would ever hurt me physically. You know what I'm saying? And it was just like, I done got jumped by dudes. I done got beat up. I done got my shit handed to me a couple of times, but it's just like, I could heal back from that. But when a woman hurts you, when that masculinity and she's like on some, like, you know what I'm saying, head turning green and all that, and she's coming at you, that's a different kind of energy as a man. It's like I've heard a woman say she rather her husband hit her than to cheat on her. You see what I'm saying? And I'm not saying that's for all women, but that's what she said to me. And I was like, that sounds crazy. But in my head, it's the reverse. I'd rather be hit or hurt physically, because I'm a heal from that. But when you hurt me, you know, emotionally, and when you hurt my, you know what I'm saying, my mind, it's like, it takes some time to recover from that. You know what I mean? And they say, like, with guys, when it comes to suicide, it's a higher suicide rate. And when I feel like when relationships end, I believe that we suffer more emotionally. You know what I mean? Because it's a separation of, we believe that we provided as much as we possibly could. Though behind most of the time of the separation, it could be a man cheating, but we don't look at it like that. But I could only imagine from a woman's perspective, it's like, you cheated, you hurt me more than anything. Like, you broken and disrespected the highest emotion that I could possibly feel, and you betrayed my trust. So when I see that, it's like, okay, that's parallel to, you know, how that, you know, that whole masculinity. So
let me ask you this. What do you think causes masculinity in women?
If I had to be specific, it's a cover up of possibly not having a man in the house, because, you know, a lot of us come from
single parent, single mother
households. You know what I mean?
Households. And I think that was the issue for me. I am one of those, and don't get me wrong, because I want a man around to come take the trash out, because I get tired of putting stuff together. I need help sometimes. And I think a lot of that, you know, happened in my household. Okay. You know, my dad, and I love my dad, but he wasn't there with us. My mom did everything. And coming up as a kid, I watched my mama do everything. Gotcha. You know, yes. So there was no man in the household. He did teach us things, right. You know, handy things. Right. I can't take that away from him. Right. You know, but mama always did everything. I'm
happy you on that topic. So let me say that. Let me ask you this. When your parents separated, or if they were separated, when your mother was dating another gentleman, how did you treat that gentleman? Did you look at him like, oh, you're not my father? Like, did you treat him? You see how you smiling? So I can only imagine that there was hints in it. But get it real. Okay, but did you watch your other siblings do that to that gentleman who your mother could have possibly been dating? Because I feel like in a woman, that masculinity comes from that, because a lot of us men see that masculinity come from a place of, you can't tell me what to do. You're not my this. You're not that. So it's like trying to assert and put an individual back in their place, whether it be a man or a female.
I'm gonna be honest with you. It's me, and I have, you know, 3 other siblings. You know, I lost my brother, right. You know, a few months ago. But I've never seen my siblings be disrespectful to anyone that my mom dated.
Okay.
My mom had boundaries
Okay.
for us. You know, it was, you know, she go to her man like an adult. If you have a problem with my kids, you come to me and let me know, and I'ma handle it.
Okay.
You understand what I'm saying? Y'all respect him, he respect y'all. Nobody cross boundaries.
I hear you, but I don't believe it because it's like this. But it's like this. I look at it like, yo, it's like the substitute teacher. You know, when the substitute come in, yo, we going crazy today. Like, we having mad fun. We watching movies. We playing games. Like, we not following program today because the substitute is in.
But that's just how my mom was. Most of the time, we never was really home. We was outside playing and. You know, mom would be at work, her boyfriend would be at work or whatever. So we never really crossed paths with them. Like they interacted with us. We never had a problem with them.
Okay. But you're one out of a few. See, I was blessed to have both my parents, you know, raise me. So, but I did see certain elements of, you know, my mom's just real on some whole. She was way aggressive, you know what I'm saying? And I say that to say, I didn't experience, you know, having a substitute parent, but I've heard stories where it was just like, yo, like, nah, you can't tell me what to do. You know what I'm saying? So I perceive it, or I run it concurrent with the whole idea of if when it's a substitute teacher and it's like, you know, when it's a substitute teacher, we just gonna do what we want to do. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So do you think your mom carried a lot of masculine energy?
Yes. Yes, most definitely.
With your mom carrying that masculine energy, let's say if you did have the substitute teacher, do you think she would have ran him off by being so masculine?
Man, you put me in a situation. So to touch on my past a little bit, I grew up with my mom's cheating on my dad. And my mom's had the audacity to bring the dude around to meet her kids while my dad was there.
Ooh.
I beat the dude up, but while I was fighting the dude, my mother was hitting me. So as a child, imagine how that would feel. And then, even before that, all of the feminine masculinity that I had come at me as a kid growing up. So for me, it's like I understand that there is a line crossing with that female masculinity, but I've been broken in so many ways. It's just like your own mom's against a stranger. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's just.
So for me, with that question, you got the tea for real right now. Like that's the tea for real. So
I don't know, but like I said, me personally, I don't. I'm just saying, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of people don't really understand what masculine energy is.
Yeah.
But like I said, again, everybody looks at it in a different way.
Of course, everybody is able, you know.
Because I've seen someone said, oh, well, a man doesn't want a woman that's going to be argumentative all the time and always have an attitude. To me, I don't feel like that's masculine energy. I feel like that's a person thing. Because a man can be argumentative.
Of course.
You know,
men have a lot of feminine ways because, like you stated earlier, growing up in a single mother household, so they understand, and growing up under that umbrella, they have that defense mechanism as a woman. You know what I mean? So it's a lot of men out here.
I didn't think about that.
Right. It's a lot of men out here who have feminine masculinity.
That kind of, you know what?
Cut.
I was like, hold on, you just threw it at me.
I was sorry, yeah.
So, basically, my question is, how do you identify, masculine energy in a woman? Because everybody doesn't identify it the same.
Okay. How I identify it in a woman is how we converse while she's upset. And as a man, when you really can see a woman's masculinity, for me personally, is when we're driving. If a woman is driving, she gets stuck in traffic, she gets cut off, and she starts cursing and just flying off, I feel for me, that's when I can see a woman's masculinity.
Ooh, Sean almost got a lot of
And no, it's crazy because it's subtle things. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, I can only imagine as a woman, there are little things that you would see a man do in his natural element that you would be like, oh, okay, he's that kind of guy. Or it's like, let me pay attention to that. You know what I mean? For me, it's like, it's little subtle things, especially when it comes to identifying masculinity in a woman. Like, I'll see little things, you know what I'm saying? Little things that piss her off and see how she reacts. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like, when somebody is not really paying attention to what's going on around them, that's when you see who they really are. So for me, that's one of the indicators for identifying masculinity in a woman. I know it might sound crazy, like, oh, that's whack, but hey, yo, that's for me.
That's how you identify it.
Right.
Everybody identifies it different.
Right. It's just the subtle things and just subtle reactions that I see in women. Like, are they overly exerting their authority in a certain situation? That's how I identify it. You know what I mean?
That makes sense. I've heard a few men say that also, you know, and like I said, people identify masculine energy different.
Right.
It was someone that said they identify it as an overly aggressive woman and an argumentative woman. To me, I mean, that's their opinion.
Right.
But I think an argumentative argumentative woman, that's just a woman being human.
Right.
Because a man can also be argumentative.
You think that? You really do think that?
I really do.
So let me ask you.
I'm
sorry.
Speaking, you know, from experience. Not saying that all men are like that.
Right.
But I have been around some argumentative men.
Gotcha.
So I wouldn't say that is masculine energy.
Okay.
I would say that's a people's thing.
Gotcha.
Now, a lot of people also identify it as a woman being overly independent, which they do have a lot of women that's like that. I myself have been like that sometimes, but that's because I've seen my mother do that.
Gotcha.
You know, daddy wasn't in the home. I love my daddy. You know what I'm saying? He's not a bad person. He just wasn't in the home. So I watched mama do everything.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? But my mom never was the type of woman to be like, oh, because you don't need a man for nothing. And I think that's where some masculine energy
I
comes
could agree
in
with you on that.
From women. I don't need a man, this, that, and the third. Let me tell you, I used to be that type of woman because I don't need you for a motherfucking thing or whatever.
Right.
As I got older, I was like, I'm tired of putting this bed together. You know, I don't want to bring this TV up the stairs. You know what I'm saying? So...
Wait, you was going to bring a whole bed by yourself?
I've done it before.
What size was the bed?
It was in a box.
Oh, okay.
And I've actually, you know, done it myself. And, you know, a lot of the times, you know, it's a lot of us that say, oh, I don't need a man, this, that, and the third. I want a man, which is fine. If that's how you feel, that's cool. And like I said, I used to be one of those women. And I think that's where a lot of that masculinity come in, because you have a lot of women where they have their mothers and aunts and grandmothers. You don't need a man for this and this, that, and the third. When honestly, y'all, we do need a man to be the head of household, because there's some things that we can't do, and this is gonna be on our next topic, y'all, on people staying in their place. Oh
yeah, definitely. Stay tuned to that, man. We appreciate y'all taking the time. I answered the question to the best of my ability. So
you did.
That's just me. I'm not trying to put this on nobody else, no other man, anything like that. You call it what it is. That's just my experience. That's how I view things. You know what I'm saying? So
you did. But anyway,
and I apologize to all the women that I've hurt in the process of the things that I've done in my past. So I apologize.
Shout out to you.
Yeah.
But anyway, guys, you know, we're gonna wrap it up, and thank you guys for tuning in to NO to NYC podcast, and we look forward to your comments, your shares, your likes, and even your input.
Peace. I don't have nothing to say. I'm tired. Gotta go. Later, y'all. Thank you.